Hey, ¿qué onda? ¿Cómo estás?
Boknona, ja sam. Šta ima doma?
Hi, Summer. This is Eric calling you.
Yeah, I know, right? It's been a while. I can't believe I've been here for a full semester already.
Obožavam ovaj grad i ljude u ovom gradu i fakultet i stvarno se osjećam kao da sam kod kuće.
Questo posto mi ha letteralmente accolta nel modo più familiare possibile.
A veces un poco difícil porque hay que escribir varios ensayos, pero los maestros, la neta, son súper buena onda.
Non, c'est fou, il y a tellement de choses à faire, je suis pas habitué à autant d'options. لسه مش بتكلم هولندي كويس بس كل الناس بتتعامل بالإنجليزي.
You know what they say, work hard, play hard.
تعرفت على ناس كتير من جنسيات مختلفة.
Sono fiera di dirti però che sono me stessa.
Te extraño un montón y espero que me puedas visitar pronto.
Jako mi falite i podragajte mu kolina za mene.
Great. Welcome everybody to this webinar from the VU Amsterdam. And you joined to hear more about the Bachelor programs. And in the next 40 minutes or so, we're going to have the presenters explain you all about these programs. But first of all, let me explain you a little bit about the interactive options we have, because we try to make it as interactive as possible. My name is Luc Mulling. I'm the moderator of today. And we have a couple of options for you. So first of all, the questions. You can write your questions at any time at the panel called questions. And there you can write them throughout the session. However, we will be answering the live questions at the end. I also like to mention that a lot of the questions will be possibly answered throughout the session. So do wait a little bit with maybe writing your questions too fast. I say that also because we're expecting quite a lot of people to join. However, we also have a person actually joining in the chat to write questions and answer them. So just to mention that. And also, if you are watching the recording, you can still participate in all the interactive features. So you can still write your questions. Of course, we cannot answer them live. However, they will be sent through to the staff of the VU Amsterdam. All right, what else do we have? We have a polling question, and we already opened up a question right there, as we like to know a little bit more about your background, for example. And so you can already see there about the field of study. But we will be opening up a couple of more questions throughout the session. So thanks for answering those. And last but not least, we have a little fun factor emoticon. I already saw some people found the button at the bottom. It's called React, and there you can react that one indeed. And just to give a little bit more of an interactive point, because we don't hear you, but you can interact with us when you, for example, like something you hear. Anyway, without further ado, let's go over to the presenters that we have lined up, and we will they will present themselves. So introduce them to you. Good luck with the session.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to the webinar of today. So let me briefly, my name is Marika, first of all. I'm an international student advisor for the Science Bachelor specifically. I will be presenting today, and I will talk to you about the general information about our Bachelor programs and the application process. And then I will hand over to my colleague, Claire, who's accommodation officer, and who will tell you more about the housing situation and the services that VU offers. And finally, we have Jasmine, who will tell you more about her experience as an international student at VU in Amsterdam. And in the chat is my colleague, Kim, who's also an international student advisor, and she's ready to answer your questions in the chat. But as mentioned, please wait a little bit to see if your question will be answered in the presentation. If not, please feel free to talk to her in the chat or ask in the end live. All right. So let me see. Okay, so before we get started, just some basic information about our university. Vrije Universiteit, or in short, VU, was founded in 1880. By now, we offer about 175 English taught programs, of which 28 are at bachelor level. On the next slide, I will show you an overview. We have more than 31,000 students, of which more than 5,000 are internationals, and they represent together about 120 nationalities. We have a large team working at the international office, and we are here to assist you throughout the application process and offer various services such as housing and visa. So on this slide, you see an overview of our English taught bachelors per faculty. I won't go through all of them one by one, but just to have an idea, you can find all of them on our website if you go to vu.nl/bachelors and filter the language of instruction by English. On the program pages, you can find a lot of information about the content of the programs, as well as the admission requirements and application procedure. Okay. So where do you start in the application process? It seems obvious, but it's important to do some extensive research into the available programs and what they actually entail. Therefore, we suggest you to go to the aforementioned webpage, which lists all of our bachelor programs, and read the program pages of the program of your interest carefully, and read the curriculum of the study and the study guide for more information about the content, and check the admission page to make yourself aware of the requirements of the program. I will tell you a bit more about that later. If you need a little bit of help making a decision, you can check our 7-step guide on our website. You see the link on the slide. Once you made up your mind, you will need to take the following steps, starting with applying in Studielink, and then complete your application in your VU personal dashboard. I will tell you more about what this entails in the next few slides. And finally, you will need to have to pay the non-refundable application fee of 100 euros. Please do not wait to do this, as we can only start reviewing your application once the payment is done. And we encourage students to apply as early as possible, as this will be beneficial for multiple reasons, which I will touch upon later. But first, let's watch a video to make what I just told you a little bit more visual. Okay, so as mentioned, you will always need to upload a copy of your passport or ID card. It's important to make sure that this is still valid at the start date of the program. Since this year, we will use the Bachelor application file for all our programs, which you will find on the website. And your program page will also link to this page. There are a few different ones, so make sure that you download the correct one. The file will stipulate exactly which documents you will have to upload, which will include your CV, your transcript of records, your diploma or diploma statement, in case you have not graduated yet. You will also need to upload a proof of English proficiency. but you can send this via email to your international student advisor also after already submitting your application. So this can be done at a later stage. But please check the website for accepted tests, minimum scores, deadlines, and possible extensions. So I just told you about the application documents that you will need to submit. Next up are the admission requirements. To be generally admissible to our bachelor programs, you will need a diploma that's equivalent to the Dutch pre-university diploma, which is called VWO diploma in Dutch. On our website, you will find an overview of diplomas per country we consider equivalent to this diploma. So prior to applying, it's good to check that page to estimate your chances of being directly admissible. Then, as already mentioned, you will need to prove sufficient level of English. It is important to check your program page for their specific requirements. And besides the general admission requirements, there may also be additional requirements set by the programs, such as, for example, a minimum level in mathematics or history. And many programs have also adopted the VU study choice check, which you will need to complete. And this consists of 2 parts, the questionnaire and an activity. For some programs, these are mandatory. For others, they aren't. Therefore, please, again, check your program page for their specific requirements. If you are not directly admissible, because, for example, your level of mathematics is not considered high enough, you may be advised to sit an entry exam. Please note, however, that international student advisors do not give out advice on admissibility via email, neither if you send them all your documents. You will need to officially apply through StudyLink. As mentioned, you can already estimate your chances beforehand by checking the general diploma requirements and the program-specific requirements. Okay, so there are some programs that have an additional selection procedure with additional requirements. The selective programs, which are Law and Society and PPE, require a minimum GPA and a motivation letter. And numerous fixes programs, which means a program with limited spots, which are psychology, biomedical sciences, and computer science, will consider your GPA, and you have to take part in a selection test. So some important dates to keep in mind. Applications have opened at the beginning of this month. And for numerous fixes, they run until the 15th of January. So it's an early deadline. For all the other programs, the deadline is either 1st of April for non-EU EEA passport holders and the 1st of May for EU EEA passport holders, or those who do not need a study visa or residence permit through VU. I already mentioned it before, but please start your application timely. This because it may take some time to meet all your admission requirements. Think, for example, of scheduling an efficiency test for a course or an English test, and it also always takes a bit of time before you will get the results. So it's important to plan ahead. It's furthermore beneficial to apply early and be conditionally or unconditionally admitted in order to find housing through our services. Claire will tell you more about this later. Okay, so you have submitted your application and you paid the fee. Then what is next? First, our international support assistant will review your file for completeness and correctness. If anything appears to be missing or incorrect, they will reach out to you. For a smooth and speedy process, make sure to double check everything before you send it out. If everything is in order, they will forward your file to the international student advisors. You will be notified when this happens, and it usually takes about 1 or 2 weeks, but it's always dependent on how busy it is. Then the international student advisor will assess the content of your file and see whether you're meeting the admission requirements and whether you're admissible or not. You will be informed about the outcome after more or less 6 to 8 weeks, again, depending on how busy it is. Around peak times, it usually takes a bit longer, close to deadlines. So again, also here it's better to apply early. In the decision on admission letter, the conditions for admission will be outlined, so you will have all the information there. In case you still have questions about your application and you cannot find the answer on our web pages, our team of international students advisors is always ready to answer your questions, to help you further. You can find our contact information also on the website. Okay. So after you have been admitted or conditionally admitted, you have received a decision on admission letter. Please read this carefully and make sure you meet all the requirements on time to become unconditionally admitted. There are a number of steps you will need to take after conditional admission, but these are beyond the scope of this webinar, but you can find them on the link that's on the slides. Just a small side note for numerus fixus students. Please note that being admitted is not the same as being selected, and vice versa. These are two separate procedures that both need to be completed. Only after you have been conditionally admitted, you can apply for our services, including the accommodation service. Before I'm handing over to Claire, I would just like to briefly draw your attention to the upcoming opportunities to meet us and gather more information. So we have a VU Bachelor Day coming up in November. In case you're in the Netherlands, you're welcome to come visit us or check the website for other fairs that you might be able to visit. Okay, this is it for my part. Now I would like to hand over to my colleague, Claire.
Hi, my name is Claire and I work for the housing team. Welcome everyone. I will tell you a bit more about the housing application procedure. So to apply for student housing via the international office, you first need to be conditionally admitted. You can apply via your personal dashboard, confirm your participation, select your budget category and pay the housing fee. We will put you then on our housing list. Please note that the budget category is just an indication for us. So it doesn't mean we can guarantee housing in your preferred budget category because we work with a first paid, first served system. So for example, if you already paid now this month, you will be on top of our list. So that would be great. Rental prices go from 400 till 1150, an average of 650. So Amsterdam is a really expensive city to live in, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. We have different locations, different housing providers. You can see on the pictures, Campus Uilenstede, which is a very big student campus with around 3,500 students, Dutch students and international students. It's close to the VU. We also have student hotel, we have our campus, but we have many more options. We have like shared living facilities where, for example, you have a private bedroom and a shared kitchen or a shared bathroom, but we also have studios where you have your own bedroom, kitchen and bathroom. Like I mentioned, the housing application opened already. We work with a first come, first served system. So please, as soon as you can apply for housing, I would advise you to do so. Be aware, we cannot guarantee housing for all applicants. The sooner you sign up, the better your chances are. VU can offer you a 1-year contract, but only for 1 year, even in case of 2 or 3 year study programs. And we work with fixed dates. So we offer rental contracts from mid-August 23 until mid-August 24. The housing market is extremely tight. So if you're looking on the private market, prices go from 750 and up. So start your search early and be prepared to search in surrounding villages and towns as well. Watch out for scams. If an offer sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And the last point I want to make is if you do not find accommodation before the 1st of August 23, we strongly advise you to reconsider your study plans. This is it for me, so I'll hand over to Jasmine.
All right, well, thank you very much. I'll be sharing my story at the VU Amsterdam, and I'll be doing that by first introducing myself a little bit more so you understand where I'm coming from. So I'm originally Swedish and German, so I have German parents, but I was born and raised in Sweden, so you can classify me however you want. And I'm currently a third-year bachelor student in biomedical sciences. And I do quite a lot of things on top of that. I'm a VU ambassador, that's why I'm talking to you here today. I tutor in my free time. I'm an honors student, and I've recently started my internship at Naturalis Biodiversity Center. So I'm quite busy. And in order to do all this, I am very much passionate and addicted to learning and contributing to the VU, and also coffee, because I think for all of this, I have to have just coffee coursing through my veins at this point. And in my very limited free time, I like reading, embroidering, and going on walks. But that is a very limited free time. So let's start with my story of how I got here. So this is actually not where I started my university education. I actually did my first year of biomedical sciences at the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, Sweden. And after a whole year of that, COVID-19 began, and everything kind of just crashed apart. And I decided to move to my parents, who had then moved to Denmark. And I stayed there for an entire summer until I started thinking about what I wanted to do and realized I don't want to go back to Sweden. So I very much last minute decided to apply to the VU of Amsterdam. And I do not recommend you do this. I recommend you follow the previous advice of starting early. But I somehow managed to scrounge up all my documents and apply last minute. And I don't know how it worked, but it did. And now I'm happily in my third year of the study. But of course, it's not always a smooth sailing line from first year to third year. And what happened actually 3 days after I moved to Amsterdam was I got diagnosed with COVID-19, which was suboptimal to say the least, since I was very alone in this foreign country. I had never been here before. I didn't speak the language, and I was very sick, isolated in a 14-meter square room for 14 days. And it was horrible. I was pretty much bedridden for those 2 weeks, and the only thing I had getting me through it was my that they just cared about, have you completed the assignments, have you done the exams? They actually checked in and asked for my well-being, both physical and mental. And it was very nice that they did that, because I was very scared about my health. And just having that support and that checking in from the teachers was very nice. And they were also very supportive in terms of the online learning alternatives. So I actually didn't fall behind even when I was very sick. So all of this kind of played together in that I was able to get through COVID-19 with not that many side effects, not a lot of long COVID, and not a lot of mental health issues afterwards. And after the whole COVID-19 debacle, I was finally able to actually enjoy my studies, which was great. And I got to leave my room and I got to go explore Amsterdam, and it was beautiful. And I would like to say that my studies at the VU are much better than I had previously experienced. They're very interactive and interesting, and they make you want to learn more. And with the assignments, it's very clear that they're preparing you for actual career work. So I, for example, am learning how to make posters, presentations, pitches, things like that. And you can really tell that this is what I'll be doing perhaps in my future career. And all these assignments are usually group work based, at least in my education. And I'm pretty sure all my friends that I have now are from previous group works. So that's a good thing about group works, I think. Now, unfortunately, before I got to these friends from the group works, I suffered from homesickness. And it was for two reasons. Number one is that I basically grew up next to a forest in Sweden. So no exaggeration, my neighbor was a moose. And I have a picture proof right here that was the case. And number two, my parents moved away from my childhood home right as I was moving away to Amsterdam. And I completely lost sense of where home was. So I was very lost and confused and homesick because of that. And actually, the junior lecturers helped me get through this as well, because they actually showed interest in my story. So they didn't just, ask, okay, so where are you from? Okay, bye, and then just leave you. They actually asked you follow-up questions, and it made me feel very listened to, and it let me vent and rant sometimes about my situation, which was just very nice. Sometimes you just need someone to talk to, someone to listen to you, to really just get you through a hard time. And I'm pretty sure this is how I got through this hard time of my life. And I cannot thank the VU enough for doing this for me. They didn't have to, but they did, which was super nice. And thirdly, what happened, and this is what I'm still going through, is I don't know what I want to do with my career. And I'm pretty sure everyone has this at least once in their life. I'm pretty sure you might even go through it as well, that you don't know where you want to go. And before, I've always been taught, okay, biomedical science is, medicine, it's pharmacology, it's just finding out how diseases work, things like that. But I was always interested in evolution, and the VU's honors courses reignited my love and passion for actually learning and studying evolution. So I got really confused because I wasn't supposed to like evolution because I was in biomedical sciences. And I actually turned to my career advisor at the VU, and she told me I wasn't bound in this bubble of biomedical science. And she made me realize that I was allowed to like evolution, and that I was able to study it in detail if I wanted to. And with that talk, I got inspired by actually applying to an internship at the Naturalis Biodiversity Center, which is actually where I'm at today. So in the internship, I'm allowed to make 3D models out of fossils and see how they fit together and how they have evolved to that point, which I think is the coolest internship in the world. And I'm very grateful that this career advisor gave me the motivation and gave me the inspiration to actually get out there and apply. On top of that, she also gave me the courage to apply to the minor human evolution at the Leiden University, because she also said, you're not even constricted to being here in the VU. You can broaden your horizons, it's okay. And with that, kind of seal of approval, I was able to apply to the minor, and I got in, and I love it. It's the best thing that I've been in, and I really enjoy my time there. And in the future, I will be actually doing my thesis internship here in experimental evolution. So I've really been able to, in a way, grow from the whole, okay, just biomedical science, to actually broaden my horizon to doing what I love, which is evolution. And I'm really grateful that the VU lets you do that and tells you, yes, you can do that, and really helps you through the process. I don't think I would have been able to achieve this without the VU's help and support. And while my story is not finished yet, I still have half a year to go. I would like to thank you for your attention of this half story, and I hope it ends well.
Great. Thank you very much, Jasmine. I think that was a very nice story, personal experience from you, and I'm sure this was useful for a lot of students who are looking to move abroad. And well, we had a lot of people joining in, so great to see. We are now going over to the questions. As we have already seen, a lot of questions have come in. Also, many have already been answered. So those we will not go into detail, but we'll pick out some questions that we'd like to see. Some more people maybe have similar problems for that sense. So we will go over to some of those questions that will still coming in. Question from Diego to start with. What does the housing fee cover? I guess Claire.
Yes. Okay, the housing fee is a service fee. So if you want to apply for housing via the international office, we ask for a housing fee of €500. We will put you on our list, and then we can offer you housing. I think I forgot to mention that we have a cancellation deadline of the 1st of July. So if you cancel before the 1st of July, for example, you decide not to come to the VU, or for any other reason you want to cancel your housing application, that's fine as long as you do it before the 1st of July, then we will refund the housing fee. I hope this makes it more clear.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I, by the way, received a couple of questions of people asking for the presentation or if it was recorded. Just to answer that, yes, the session is being recorded, so you can actually watch it again whenever you like. We will send it to you. Well, actually, you can join from your email right away after the session, and also it will restart within the minutes when the session is over. So if you miss the beginning, you can even stay on and just watch it right away. So if you missed parts of what has been presented. Question from Miko: what is the percentage of self-study and contact hours? I don't know about percentage, but do you have an idea? Maybe Jasmine, do you have an idea about a bit of the hours in terms of self-study and contacts?
The contact hours, I'm not 100% sure of on the top of my head, but I can tell you the self-study really depends on your ambition level. So for me, I strive high, like I overachiever, if you want to call me that, workaholic. So I self-study about 30 hours a week, depending on exam month and whatnot. But it really depends. I've seen some people get by on like less, so 20 hours. But I feel like if you just regularly study throughout the week, you can just do a little bit of study every day. It really depends on who you are. But I would say like 20 to 30, I would say, as self-study is good.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jasmine. Hope that was useful in answering that question. Laurinas is asking, the Bachelor application file only has a 1 page for past grades. However, the biomedical science program asks for 2 years of grades. So what should we do? Can you say something about this?
Yeah, you can enter multiple pages. It's not like you can only fill out 1 page. You can merge multiple PDFs together, and in the end make it into one bachelor application file. As long as all the information is in there, that's very important because we will only consider the information that you include. So yeah, you can upload more pages.
Good, thank you. Okay. Continuing the questions. Let's see, because I just saw a question more about, about the housing. So Martin was asking, if I get conditionally admitted and pay the housing fee at the beginning of December, do I still have a chance to get accommodation?
Yes, definitely. Of course, we ask you to apply as soon as you can, but December is still fine. So if you apply in December, we will definitely offer you a room. I would say do it before May, then you have a big chance of getting a room. But the sooner the better, because yes, when you're in the first group who can choose a room, then you have more choices, of course. So at the end, we only have the expansion options left. So keep that in mind. The longer you wait, you have less choice, basically.
Okay, thank you. We get thumbs up, so I guess that's answering the question. Maxima's asking, what is the group size, the typical group size per class? And also Anna was wondering about this. So I think Jasmine, you just answered. Yes.
Yeah, it depends. My class is 400 students, which is a lot. But others I've heard are like just 100. Now with this fixes for my education, biomedical science, it's 300 to 350, I believe, is the, or 350, 300 is the range, I think, right? Is the maximum you can get in. But yeah, it's in the hundreds, at least. So it's a pretty big class, but you're usually subdivided into groups of 30 or so for different work groups and seminars. So it's not that you're in a whole discussion group of 300 people. That's just for lectures and just in general.
Okay, thank you. And there was a question actually from Maxima regarding the PPE program. Now I know that that is a smaller class, so I don't know if you can say something about this. Maybe Marike, can you confirm the group size for PPE?
I do science, so I don't know specifically. But if they want to write it in the chat, I can look it up. Or if they want to send us an email, I can again ask my colleague. But I also don't know on the top of my head. The thing is, yes, it's a selective program. So in general, the groups are smaller.
Yeah. And I can mention to the PPE people that if you're interested in that program, we will have a webinar specifically for you, actually coming up. It is in about a month's time. So we're about to launch it. It will be available soon on our website, but so you can join specifically for PPE. That's philosophy, politics, and economics, if I'm not mistaken. So if you're into that, you can follow that webinar. Question from Citizen. As the most recent copy of grades, is it enough to upload my diploma of last year, or does it need to be this year?
The question is about diploma, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you already graduated, so you have your diploma already, you upload your diploma. If you have not graduated yet, so you don't have a diploma yet, you fill out let your school, ask your school to fill out the diploma statement, and they sign it and stamp it. So it depends. If you have your diploma, send your diploma. If you don't have it yet, you have to submit the diploma statement.
Okay, thank you. A specific question from Stefan about scholarships for EU citizens. Are there any? Can you say something about this?
We don't offer, the VU doesn't offer scholarships for bachelor, only for masters, but you can check our website for tips about financial aid, because the university doesn't offer it, but maybe there are other sources. You can find them, and there's more information about financial support on our website.
Yes, I will actually share with you a couple of links as well. First of all, I will share the link to the bachelor programs itself. So if you want to have a scroll over the programs, then you can click on the link. It's now on your screen. So there you go to the bachelor programs. You can select by field of interest, faculty, and so forth. So then at your own pace after this webinar, you can have a look. And I will look for the link to apply as well, where you get some, see the admission requirements as well. In the meantime, let's go over some more questions. Anna is asking, what is the difference between a selective and a numerous fixes program?
Okay, again, I'm not in charge of the selective program, so I'm going to try to answer as correctly as possible. What I know of the numerous fixes means selected fixed amounts of spots. So for on the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure biomedical science is 300 or 350, like Jasmine said. So this means you have to, besides the regular application procedure, you have to do the selection procedure, which is organized by the faculty, and which includes a selection test. And based on your selection test results and your GPA of your high school, you will get a ranking number. So you have to fall within these 300 or 350 spots. The first 350s get a spot assigned. With a selective program, again, don't quote me on this, but there is a selection committee who reviews the motivation letters, and it's not based on a limited amount of spots. It's just like if your motivation letter and your whole application file has a positive consideration from the board, you will be selected. I don't know if that's clear, but that's...
I hope so too. Otherwise, let us know. And we still can take some more questions. So I see already many still are there. So we try to cover as many as possible. And also the person in charge in the chat is busy with that. So don't worry, we hope and we should be able to cover most questions. Meanwhile, question from Christina, and she has a double nationality. One of them is native tongue English. Does she need to provide proof of English? And maybe the same, similar for people that have a nationality, or if they have done the studies in English, maybe that's could be similar. Do they need to show proof of English?
So on the link to the website of meeting our language requirements, you can find all the exemptions, and it's not based on which passport you hold. It's based on your education. So if you went, for example, to an IB school with the language of instruction was in English, you get an exemption. Or if you followed your full degree or your full high school program in the US, Australia, or there are more countries listed, you also get exempted. So it's not based on your nationality, but based on your schooling, on your education. But you can find all the exemptions on the website. They're clearly listed.
Okay. I'll be sharing the link where to apply. Now, from there, you will also see the program overviews, application procedures, some of the documents as well. So you can find that. You can even link through to the masters if that's what you're looking for. So let me share that link with you right now on the screen. And again, look at it just at your own pace after the webinar. And you find a lot of information and you can apply right there. Okay, Fatima has a question. What is the average acceptance rate?
Depends also on the program, I would think. So I don't have a direct answer on this question.
Yeah, Fatima, actually, that's probably difficult to know because there's so many different bachelor programs, indeed. Otherwise, let us know where you're interested in. We try to do our best. Okay, let me see. Still many more questions in. Okay, so Martin is asking, when can I expect to be eligible for a housing allowance? For example, does the accommodation have to be somewhat expensive or private, or what is it based on?
We have certain rooms where you can apply for housing allowance. If you go to vu.nl/accommodation, you will find out all our room options, and then also you can see exactly which room has housing allowance or not. So you have to see you have to see on our website. We also have information about how to apply for housing allowance. So maybe you can also share our website link, Luc.
Yeah, I will. I just looked it up. I will share it in a second, so it will come up on the screen for all of you as well that are wondering about that.
Sorry, I just wanted to add, for some you have to be 18 and for some you have to be 23. So look carefully. But you can choose your room in our online booking system. So I would advise you to look through all our room options and decide a few options which you like in advance.
Okay. Great, thank you. Let's see the next question I just saw here. Yes, so Celia was asking, can you please give more information about the admission exam? So how long before exactly will you send the material to study this exam?
She means the selection exam, I guess.
I think so.
Okay, yeah, because we don't have admission exam, we have deficiency test maybe if you're deficient in one of the courses. But if it's the selection exam, they will take place in the beginning of March, if I'm not wrong. The dates are also on the website, 6th or 7th of March, I believe, on the top of my head, depending also on the program. And the selection committee will share the materials about 2 weeks in advance.
Okay. Thank you. I hope that answered that question. Next question from Malak, asking about the IELTS grade in terms of, I guess that's the English test, right? Can you mention, or I think it was maybe mentioned, but the IELTS grade that is necessary?
Sorry, I didn't find the microphone. The IELTS grade, yeah, they're also all on the website per test. If I'm not wrong, it's a 6.5 overall for IELTS, but it depends on the program. Like with PPE and Law and Society, they have higher requirements. I believe it's 7, and they have requirements for the sub scores. So yeah, check the overall, like the language requirements page, but also check your program page for the specific requirements for your program.
All right, so there's the link right on the screen where you can find the language requirements. And in a second, I will share with you the accommodation link still as well. So that's coming up. Fatima is asking, will selection exams be online for those who cannot come to the Netherlands, or how does that work?
Yes, there's on-campus tests, but also online, because we understand many people are currently not in the Netherlands or around the test date. It's with online proctoring, so check the website if this is possible in your country, because some countries have limitations for this, but otherwise, yes, it should be possible.
Okay. Thank you. A question from Elsa is asking, if I start a bachelor program, but I change my mind and I want to change, is that possible?
That's a good question. It's hard, like if the program already started, I will have to look it up. I will answer the question. If the question is in the chat, I will answer it there.
Yes.
I don't have the answer ready right now. I believe it's like before applications close, you can still change. But when the program already started, it might be a bit more difficult. But yeah, I will find a specific answer to this question.
Okay. And if Kim knows, then you can write your answer there as well, even in the chat to us. Then I can read it out. So if there's more people wondering about this. So I will share with you, as mentioned, still the link to the accommodation. So let me do that as well. So here you find information for exchange student, degree students, and so forth, all about a lot of the information that was mentioned by Claire earlier on. So you can look at it at your own pace as well after the webinar. We received a question. I just saw it. I forgot the name, but I think there were more people from Holland in here as well who wondered about if they could switch from one university to another and how that works. Is there something you can say about that?
Yes. If you want to transfer from one university to another, or want to, either have your credits transferred or start in a higher year, this is very tricky. It's because the content of the program has to be very, very similar. So this rarely happens that students get admitted into a high year or having credits transferred. So what we always advise is to apply for the first year, and once you are admitted or conditionally admitted, you can request your credits to be transferred, but this goes through the examination board on a case-by-case basis, so it's very hard for us to say beforehand if it will be possible or not.
Okay, thank you. Next, let's see. Okay, now I lost that question. I will come back to that. So yeah, various people I see asked about the diploma since they don't have it or some documents until later in the year, but they do want to apply. How does that work for them if they don't have the diploma, especially, but maybe other documents not until later in the year? Can they already start the application?
No, yeah, we of course understand that if you're still in high school, you don't have your diploma at this moment yet. So instead of a diploma, you can upload your diploma statement, which is in a part of the Bachelor application file. It has all the instructions in there, what you need to do. So your school needs to fill it out. They need to sign and stamp it. So instead of, if you have not graduated, don't have a diploma, upload the diploma statement.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Still a lot of questions come in, so I'm just trying to pick some that are for most people still valid. Yeah, so maybe about the documents. There's a question about the transcripts. Do they have to be officially translated in English?
Also here, Kim, correct me if I'm wrong. As far as I believe, if there are multiple languages in which you can hand in the transcript, so English, French, German, Spanish, Portuguese. I might miss one. Also, everything is on the website. If it's not in any of those languages, you will need to have it translated. But if it's in the file with applying, it doesn't need to be translated by a sworn translator. But if you submit it once you have been conditionally admitted and you will need to send your documents in the end, it will need to be translated by a sworn translator.
Okay, thank you. I saw a couple of questions coming of people wondering if they can start in January or at least in the winter as well, or if it's only in September.
For the bachelors, as far as I'm aware of, the only starting date is September, at least for the science bachelors. But I will double check with Kim if she knows about the other programs.
Okay, thank you. That is taking care of that.
She just confirmed that it's only September.
Only September, yeah, exactly. I see that as well. So I'm not sure if this was the exact answer, but also to the people that are looking to transfer from one university to another. It is mentioned by Kim, who's helping out. When students start their program in September and they want to stop, then they need to wait for the year after to start the new program. And the only beginning date is indeed September 1st. Hope that gives a little bit of an clarity on that point as well. In the meantime, we will still have a couple of minutes for last questions. I do like to emphasize, if we're not answering your specific question, because maybe it's also personal and not applying to many more people, we do have the question, so don't worry. The questions will be sent through to the staff, so they can come back to you still. So we might not be able to answer all questions in the session, although we're trying our best. And also for people in the recording, when you're watching this, as I know a lot of students do these days, you can still write your questions and we capture those as well. Do check out, by all means, though, the links that are being shared with you, because that will also maybe answer some of your questions. And I also like to emphasize the polls. I see most people, I think, have already answered, but before you leave, if you have to go, please let us know your feedback. We have one more polling to go, but already thank you for those that have submitted this. Yeah, Martin, it's a good question maybe for Jasmine. Is it possible to work alongside the studies?
Yes, I was actually typing out the response, but it's good I can tell you.
Yeah.
So yes, it is possible. I have done it. I work around anywhere from 8 to even 20 hours a week, but I really want to stress two things. Number one, don't overdo it, because that is the straightest way to a burnout that you've ever had. Because like I was really overwhelmed with everything going on, and it's not good for your work, your studies, or even your mental and physical health. But yes, it is possible. And number two is that you're not gonna really get anywhere over minimum wage. I think it's the second part of the question. You're basically gonna get minimum wage because you're a student. You likely haven't gotten any experience. You're young. So unfortunately, you're going to be working a lot for very little money. So yeah, it's possible, but then again, don't overdo it, and don't start in your first semester. Give yourself time to settle in, get used to your studies, and then maybe look. But yeah, don't overdo it is my tip.
Clear advice. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I'm sure that's useful for Martin and others. And go ahead, Marike. Yes.
Sorry, if I may add on to that, it's a bit more difficult for non-EU passport holders. They require a work visa, which their employer will have to ask for them, request for them. So that's a bit more difficult. And then there's also limitation of maximum 16 hours per week. But in general, we would not recommend students to work more than 16 hours per week, because that's 2 full days, and studying is basically a full-time job.
Yep, understandable. Thank you. We're getting thumbs up, so good. That should answer that question. Deborah has a question about if somebody's an international student studying in the Netherlands, do you also get an opportunity to do your bachelor like an exchange year, throughout the bachelor as well, to go abroad?
Sorry, the question is if you're studying in the Netherlands?
Yeah, so as an international student, you come to the Netherlands, and then in the bachelor's, can you still do an exchange year abroad, basically?
This is not my domain, but I would say yes. If you're studying your, it doesn't matter if you're a Dutch passport holder or another passport holder, you can still, go on exchange. But yeah, then that's something for the exchange office. So if you have specific questions about exchange, you can contact them.
I believe Kim is writing us, and I'll check that in a second. I think she's already mentioning it in the 3rd year. I guess that's related to that question. Then we'll come back to it in a second. So we are running towards the end of the session. We'll leave a couple of more minutes open. I still see some questions in. Just to answer some of the questions that are being written now as well. So if there are different campuses. So there's one campus at the south of Amsterdam. There's a virtual tour as well available, so that should be on their website. So if you want to look at the virtual tour, then I'm sure, well, we'll try to see if we can find it, but otherwise it is on the website. You see the nice building in behind the faces of the presenters. So there's one, but of course you can check out the virtual tour possibly. I will share still the link of the application, because I see several people still wondered about some of the requirements and such. So the application procedure link is right there. I want to make sure you have that. There you can find how to apply for a bachelor program, the documents, and still have actually some contacts as well if you need further help. Okay. Sonia, maybe asking that question as well. Is there an age limitation for admission for the bachelors?
I don't think so. No, not that I'm aware of. No.
No age limitation.
I see Kim also says no age
yes,
limitation.
by Kim as well.
Any welcome.
Thank you, Kim. She's multitasking. She's answering still questions as well. Thank you very much. Just to also come back to that previous question, so in the third year of the bachelor program, students can choose between doing an internship, a minor, or exchange. So it does depend a bit on the program. So it is possible to go abroad, as I understand there. Another question I can take, if there's a webinar for biomedical sciences specifically, not at this stage. So PPE is a bit separate in that sense, where we have a webinar for in the coming month. But we did have this webinar about the bachelors. We also had a webinar last week about the masters. So in case you are interested in a master study in the program, then I can recommend you to check out our website and the studyabroadportal.com. There you can find the recording from last week. And as mentioned, you can still write questions there, so you can join that one. Cool. Okay, I think we are through to most of the questions. Still a couple are being answered as we speak. I see some of those others have been answered already. Maybe one more from Cizan about the deadline from the original diploma. I think it was mentioned, but just to make sure that the deadlines are clear as well. Can you repeat that maybe?
The application deadlines?
So the application deadline, yes, I think that's the question.
Okay. For numerous fixes programs, so biomedical science, computer science, and psychology, it's the 15th of January. And for the other programs, it's the 1st of April for non-EU passport holders and the 1st of May for EU passport holders. And we have this difference because there's a visa deadline for non-EU.
Yes. Yes, sure. Okay. Great. Well, then we come to the end of this session. I'd like to mention two more things actually from my end, and I'll check if there's any urgent question. First of all, the webinar doesn't stop here in that sense that we do have a student community that you can join. I saw a lot of people already did, so you can join the community, especially for students, where you can amongst yourselves chat, possibly find students from your own country, or help with accommodation, visa, scholarships, all these things that other students are also wondering about. So join that community of Discord. We sent the link is actually what you should use is the one that we sent an hour before this webinar. So you got a reminder and the link is in there. So there you can click on it and join And I see actually right now a lot of people are in that group. I will post there also the link to the webinar, and we also streamed it to YouTube, so you can even watch it there if there's some people are interested to do so. Another question, let me see. Yeah, so link of student community, I will get to that in a second. Yeah, the last point, I still wanted to get the last polling and see how we did. So we have on the screen right now a little survey of how you feel the session went. This is also important for us to see if you were happy. So far I see mostly 4 and 5, so that's still, we can improve a little, but we should be pretty okay. And if yeah, any feedback as well is of course welcome. Do let us know. Well, you can maybe drop that directly to us if you like, so we can of course make sure we make this session according to your expectations, because that's what it's about. So I'm going to send to you the link of the Discord group in the chat. Sorry, in the question box. There you go. So this Ayan was just the last person answering, so that's where I've put that. Okay, I think we have come towards the end, and I've answered pretty much all questions. As mentioned, some might be still personal questions, so we can still come back to that later. But for now, I would like to thank everybody for joining, especially, of course, all the students. They join in from all over the world. We had, I think, pretty much all, I wouldn't say all countries, but all, at least all regions, so to say. And we had people join in, so that's great to see. And of course, all the presenters for taking their time. Thanks a lot, Marike and Claire. And of course, Jasmine, you as well, and for your great input. And last but not least, also behind the scene, we had Kim, very busy answering questions. So thanks, all of you. I think it was very useful, if I can speak for the audience, that you explained the more details. And we hope to see, of course, that some students are able to come to Amsterdam next year. So good luck, everybody. And maybe last words. Over to you, Marike, maybe? Can you say something last to finish up the session? Thank you.
Well, yeah, of course, everyone, thank you for your attention. And if there's anything still unclear, you're always welcome to send us an email to ask for clarifications or check the website. I saw a lot of questions passing by about very specific cases about diploma requirements. Just a small reminder that you can find the diploma, like the general admission requirements for our bachelor programs per diploma and country on our website, which very clearly indicate what the requirements are. So check those and check the program page. And yeah, otherwise, if still things are unclear, find us via email. And yeah, we hope to meet some of you for next academic year.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye for now.